It took me about 40 years to realize what I'm about to tell you. If you're struggling with life and it's not going your way, keep watching because I'm going to tell you a story of what I went through. So I'm 63 years old, or almost going to be 63, and I've been in sales for about 40 years. And I will tell you, when I was younger, I was a very shy kid. I never even went to my high school prom. My head was always in the books because I didn't want to really communicate with anybody. I was short, thin. I was like the geeky looking kid. And so, when I was done with high school, I went into the military because I was kind of lost. I didn't want to do any more school. I what I really wanted to do was I wanted to be a pilot, but that going into the Air Force as an enlisted person was not the right path. But I had glasses at the time, and I still do. But I had this vision that I would somehow work my way into being a pilot, and I went into aircraft maintenance, which is totally opposite of what I should have been doing because mechanic work was not my passion. But working on airplanes is what I wanted to do because I wanted to be closer to airplanes. But little did I realize it's a lot of grease, oil, and nastiness, heat, cold, frustration trying to work on these things, and it just wasn't for me. So after my initial 4 years, I ended up getting out of the Air Force because I just felt like it wasn't where I wanted to go, and I really didn't do the things that I should have done to get to advance in the military because I didn't want to be that kissing butt person. And that's what you had to do a lot of times, at least back then. And so I got out of the Air Force and I decided, well, I'm just going to go to college. I should have done it when I left high school. But the other thing is I didn't really prepare for college properly because I went into my 10th year, I went into a technical school thinking I was going to do that. Well, that was radio and television back in the day. And, that I realized I didn't have the smarts for it. And so I went back to a regular high school, but I didn't have all my preparatory classes lined up that I needed to really do well in college. Like you have to have all your math classes, your physics, and all your science classes. And my whole goal was to get into engineering because that's what my uncle did. He was a top engineer with AG&G out of Las Vegas, and he worked on some really amazing top secret projects that he could never tell us, but kind of gave us a little glimpse. I mean, I think at one point he worked on the space shuttle, but that's about all I knew. And so I aspired to do that. But once I realized I got into my first couple years of college, my first year of community college, and realized when I was taking physics and calculus and digital electronics, I just couldn't deal with it because it was all math. I didn't know physics was all math. So if you're going to be an engineer or in any kind of science, you're going to be dealing with math and language, communications. You've got to be able to communicate and do math skills, problem solving, all these kind of things that I can do on the basic level, but I just felt like I would have to work so much harder to be even come close to some of these people that just had a natural gift for it. So I dropped out. Or no, let's see, did I drop out? Yeah, I dropped out and decided to do my own home business. And I stupidly bought this, what do you call it? This business, apple polishing systems. And so back then, it was a business to polish cars. So I did that for a while, didn't make a whole lot of money, and decided, hey, I didn't know enough about business, so I'm going to go back to college. And so I went to USF, I went back to the community college to finish my community college, and then graduated to USF to finish my bachelor's of science in marketing or business. Business, I think it was a bachelor's of science business degree. And so I figured, hey, I don't know enough about business, so I'm going to go do that. And one of the courses in that whole business program was professional selling. So I did that and had an excellent teacher. It was an excellent group. We actually won the American Marketing Association award, and we went to um, Louisiana, New Orleans for this big convention. And I was the guy that actually ended up with the camera. You know, I was never the outgoing person, even though I was in the sales class. All of the other people were the typical outgoing people. They were the people that you would think would do well in sales. And I remember talking to the instructor at the end of the course, and you know, these other people already had jobs lined up and everything. And I asked him what his opinion would be of me. And he said he thought I would do good in sales, but it would have to be a certain type of sales. And so that's the kind of sales I actually ended up with. I didn't end up with a sales job where I'm going to go out and knock on doors and or work for a big computer firm selling computers, because that's what they did at that time. IBM was the big thing, and we were selling computers and, you know, Xerox copiers and all that kind of stuff. But that wasn't me. I didn't have that personality, that outgoing personality, but I did have the personality that I learned years later to actually sell business to business. Like I'm in beauty supply sales, selling to salons. And so I didn't know I would even be good at that, but I kind of fell into this job by accident. And so I think God had a plan for me. This is how I figured out my life's work. But I struggled. You know, my first job after college wasn't in sales. I took a job being a manager trainee for Piccadilly cafeterias. So here I am. Okay, so when you graduate college, you need to get a job to make money. Well, I should have followed my passion, which at the time I really didn't know what it was, other than I wanted to make a lot of money. And that's the wrong thing to think about. Don't go chasing the money, because that's not where it's at. So I ended up getting a job with Piccadilly cafeterias because they were hiring, and this was a manager trainee position working in a cafeteria. Now listen, I'd never had any ambition when I was a kid to even try to learn how to cook or any of that kind of stuff. And here I am, a manager trainee working in a kitchen, putting my hands in food and learning how to cook and do all these things. And no, I'm not learning how to cook for myself. I'm learning how to cook for a bunch of people. So the recipes were huge recipes, and we made everything from scratch. But here I am, a trainee. I ended up going to Louisiana to their headquarters, Baton Rouge, and I spent I don't know how many months living in Lafayette, Louisiana, working in a real cafeteria. And you know, finally after the training was done, they sent me to a cafeteria in Orlando, and it was not a very successful cafeteria. It was like struggling. It was in one of those areas. It wasn't a bad area, but it was not doing well. And I had a great manager for a while, and then they sent him off somewhere else. And then I had two knucklehead assistant managers, and the one became a manager, but they weren't as good as the other guy that they sent to another cafeteria. So I got stuck with two knuckleheads, hated the whole thing, ended up leaving the company. And at the time I was with my first wife, or wasn't a wife at the time, we were living together. She had family in Jacksonville, and I had no ties in Orlando, so she wanted to get back home closer to her family. She was assistant manager for Walgreens, which wasn't her passion either. And so we both quit our jobs, moved to Jacksonville. She immediately was able to get a job at AT&T at the time when they were doing their universal card. I couldn't pass the test. I'm a college graduate. I couldn't pass their test, so I ended up working as a temp. I worked for a temp agency, working at AT&T American Transtech, going from one position to another. Here I am, a college graduate, and I'm working not minimum wage, but not great. And here my wife is making better money, getting benefits and all that kind of stuff. So I floundered for years. And right about when I did finally get a position, I was going to get hired at one of the places in American ATT American Transtech it was like it was a division that did processing for retirement accounts and things like that. Well, anyway, right when my manager hired me, the company got bought out and he lost his job, and I never got hired. So I continued to be a temp there for a while until my brother-in-law at the time told me about working in a sales position with Circuit City, selling, TVs and VCRs at the time and stuff like that. Camcorders were a big thing. And oddly enough, I was good at what I did, but it wasn't very consistent. And you had to be on the floor. You had to be a hustler. You had to be like a shark. You had to go out there and really, attack the customers. And I hated that because I don't like it when I go into a store and I get hounded with salespeople. So I got lured away to work at Montgomery Ward's, and that turned out to not be as good as they promised. And I left that company. And then I got a job selling cruises. And this is back in the day when cruises only advertised in the full page funnies, and they had a full page ad. And of course, I would have to work Saturdays and Sundays because the ads came out on the weekends. And so I would be on the phone, and this is before the internet pretty much. I would have to be on, I had 2 or 3 phone lines, and I would call the cruise companies to try and get the best deals for my clients. Well, that turned out to be a pretty good gig for a while, but the problem is when a customer came in and canceled their cruise, and I remember right before I left that company, somebody that I sold a round the world cruise, which was a big commission thing, I lost. I lost all of that commission right before I left. And my brother-in-law actually was working for the company I'm working for. Well, the previous company was Gulf States. He was a sales rep in my territory that I work now. He ended up having back surgery because he had major back problems. He couldn't get in and out of the car like you have to do. And so when I was like, we were walking down the beach with our wives, and I was just kind of like throwing out that networking thing. Hey, if you hear of anything out there, let me know, because I'm not happy with what I'm doing now. I'm not making enough money. And then he says, oh, what about selling beauty supplies? He said, I can't do my old job. He said, I'm moving into the main office. I'm going to be head of education, and that's position's open. And I said, and he convinced me because I didn't want the job. He said, when we get back to the house, I'll show you my real numbers. And he showed me what he was actually making, because I didn't believe it. It was more money than I had ever made. And it wasn't the best, but knowing basically what happened was, I interviewed with the owner of the company, who is now was one of the co-owners of the salon center. But he said, I know you're in, but he said you just got to go to the formality of interviewing with them, and I did, and I got the job. The first month, I think I was on salary, and then after that first month, my commissions actually overrode what I was making salary, so they put me on straight commission. So I did that in the early years with Gulf States. I took the company, or the sales where I was at, and by the year 2000, I became the number 1 sales rep within 5 years or 6 years, something like that. And then that year was the year that they sold the company to Beauty Alliance, which is now Salon Centric. And that's when my whole world turned upside down. I had just bought the house that I'm living in now. It was more money than I ever paid for a house ever. And now my security was gone. But again, I was chasing the wrong thing. And I didn't have enough faith in myself to keep going. But I did. I did keep going. I stayed with the company to see what would happen. Long story short, I should have left sooner. I should have maybe looked for another type of job. But I left and went to work for another knucklehead that lured me away. Well, first I started my own little business, and that was hard to do. It was hard to do beauty supply sales when you're an independent. And I was trying to warehouse it in my garage and all of that. That kind of stuff just doesn't work. Like these people that are trying to create their own hair care retail brand, just trust me. Don't even try it. It's you're going to spend a lot of money, and you're not going to make what you think you're going to make. You're going to lose money. And everybody that I know that's done it hasn't really made any money. No matter what they say, I know they haven't. It's just not moving like they say it would. But anyway, he lured me away. He used to work for the previous company, and they fired him, and because he was doing some unscrupulous things. Well, he convinced me to come on board. He was paying me a salary. Well, they became like insane. They tracked every move I made. I had a tracker on my vehicle that he gave me to work with. And he was always asking me everywhere I went, what are you doing there? It's just micromanaging. They thought they were going to have the sales that I had from the previous company in just a short time, which was just totally unrealistic. And we had terrible brands, like nothing really that great. And so, long story short, I had been talking to one of the previous owners one of the previous people I knew that worked at Gulf States. He started this company, the Salon Center, and he actually had a partner too. And I ended up talking to the partner first, and then ended up talking to the other partner. And at first, when I did that before I started working with his other company, the Knuckleheads, and they weren't ready to do anything. So I had to work that almost a full year in total chaos and total, frustration. And then finally, he said, we're ready. That's when we started working in Florida. So I was the first rep in Florida to start the Salon Center in the Florida market. And I basically started from zero. I had nothing. Talking about, insecurity. Yeah, you have no security. He had a couple of decent brands. I mean, Rusk and Milkshake, but when you're out of the mix and out of, away from your customers, you don't really have anything to really go on, and they're not going to be that loyal to you where they're going to stop using what you used to sell them and switch to the new thing. Some people did, but it took me time to build that up, and so I had a lot of struggles in the early years working for this company. So I've been with them for over 16 years. It's been a long journey, but let me just tell you, if it's never enough. We went through a lot of bad times. I sacrificed a lot. And then I had some good times when we got some decent brands, and we had some really good times, and I became, the number one sales rep, and was too full of myself that year because I thought I was truly amazing. And the one thing I'm learning from reading the Bible, just be humble. It's not all about you. God provides everything. And, bragging is not the way to go. Basically, I was really proud of myself, but it was God that fulfilled everything that had happened. And I should have given him more credit, but I didn't know the word of God then. So that's the difference. Knowing the word and not knowing the word are like night and day. So my sales started going down from there. I wasn't as successful. And, at some point in time, even though I felt really good that year, it was an empty feeling, and you got to understand, as a younger person trying to achieve all of these amazing things, just remember, when you accumulate all these things, there comes great responsibility, because you're going to have to, there's more to deal with. If you have a bigger house, bigger yard, more cars, all these things require a lot of maintenance, a lot of money to keep up. You don't need what you think you need. Everybody keeps accumulating all these toys, all these things to fulfill something that's empty inside, and that hole never gets filled. You're going to continue to have a need for something. And once you realize things aren't really what you need, you just need to enjoy your life, enjoy your family, enjoy your health, and just enjoy the journey. Enjoy what you have as time goes on. But all those things that you're accumulating, guess what? You're going to have to figure out how to get rid of them. That's why garage sales are so popular, because so many people get all these things that they don't need and they have to give them away. So you worked all these years, all that work and struggle and sacrifice to get that money to buy all these things, only to just have to give it away. It's never gonna fulfill a great desire. And I know so many people that buy all these toys and all these fun things and everything. And even myself, when I buy something, I can't wait to get it. And then when I get it, I like it and I love it, but is it really giving me everything that I need? It's not giving me that real deep fulfillment. So just keep that in mind. And as you get older, you're going to have to start downsizing your home. So you don't. Back in the day, we didn't have homes of these sizes. I mean, my home is about 2,300 square feet. It's a 3-car garage. It is not huge by today's standards. It's probably on the smaller side. But I remember the house that I had before this, it maybe had 1,200 square feet. And when I was a kid, we probably lived in homes 800 square feet or less. So the way I look at it now, these people that have all this money and all this fame and everything, yeah, they live great lives, but am I missing out on anything? I don't know what I don't know. Now, if I had that and then I lost it all, that would be a different story. So a lot of these people, they get great fame and fortune, and then they lose it all, and then they're with nothing. But most of those people come to a realization they didn't need that to begin with. And if you're trying to be, if you're chasing fame to be known and remembered, remember this: you're not going to be remembered. Eventually, nobody will remember you. So you're doing all of this for nothing. Your ultimate goal is to work for what God wants you to do, so you can end up in the ultimate place in heaven. So what you do here is not going to do anything for what you do there, other than accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and ask Him for forgiveness of your sins and all of that. That is what will get you in heaven, not what you do here. And remember, everybody comes into this world with nothing, and everybody is going to leave this world with nothing. So you might have way more than me now, but in the end, you're going to have the same thing I have, nothing, because we're going to be dust. And I'm not trying to make this a downer video. I'm trying to really, hopefully I'm getting some sense into you that you need to think about what you're really doing in life, because if you're chasing all these dreams, all these motivators and everybody on YouTube, all the motivation is based on stuff from the Bible, real stories from the Bible, God's word, and they put it in their words. But there's nothing new and there's nothing new that is going to be different and get you that success. And if you want success, you got to listen to the people that have done it and actually put it into action. You just can't watch and read. You got to do it, and you got to really work for it. Now, one thing I regret not doing, when things got tough, I quit. And most people will do that. If it's too hard, they'll quit and not do it. But later in life, I started trying to do things that I didn't have the ability to do, like, the technology. I did not have the ability to create websites. Well, I learned it, and now I can do it. I'm not natural on video. I would never be even on video. If I was younger, you would never even see me do this, even if we had the technology back then. And I'm doing most of this uncut. Now, I might cut some of this now, but I'm learning to speak hopefully clearly, to the point, and without ums and ahs and all of that, which most people, when they start speaking in front of a camera or group, that's what happens. And so this is making me better, and better in the sense that maybe I can get my word across to other people and hopefully witness to other people the things that they need to be doing to get to the ultimate destination in life. And that's enjoy your life as it comes. Don't worry so much about the future, because God has that plan for you. But just do the right things so that you're ready for the ultimate destination. And just enjoy your family, enjoy your time, enjoy what you're doing. Don't do a job, or don't be in a job for life that you hate, because, why do that? Do something fulfilling. And if that job doesn't make you a whole lot of money, then live simpler. Live simpler, but you're still, as long as you have clothing on your back, plenty of food to eat, good food, and you have a roof over your head. It doesn't matter how big that roof is, but you will be just as happy as I am with my bigger roof, or somebody else's bigger roof, like these celebrities. What, if I have a roof over I can't enjoy. There's only so much enjoyment you can take in, and after a while you just take it for granted. But this video has gone on way too long, but I wanted to get this out and kind of give you my 2 cents on what you need to be looking for in life, and take that from a 63-year-old, or almost 63. And I wish somebody would have told me that. I appreciate you watching. If you think this video will help somebody else, please share it with them. And if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit subscribe and click the bell so you get notified when I upload another video. And remember, this channel is basically called Primetime Collective. I've changed it to be more geared toward people over 40 and up. And it's gonna have subjects in a wide range of stuff. I'm gonna have product reviews, talking about the people our age and things that you go through. Videos like this where I'm trying to give advice to the younger people based on what I've already been through and based on what other people have gone through. So I appreciate you watching. Take care and have a great day.